Hi, everybody. Ron Placone here. One of the things that we talked about a lot on this channel when it was going on was Deflategate, the whole instance where allegedly the New England Patriots were not inflating balls properly to the proper weight, giving them an advantage. I was a little skeptical when it first came out. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I thought it might have just been speculation. As time went by, it seems like there was some foul play. Recently, the NFL has released results from their investigation. They just released this Wednesday, today, as of the recording of this, and the results have indicated that Tom Brady likely knew that foul play was going on because two different New England Patriots employees, there were text messages between them alluding to the fact that they were not deflating balls properly, and also alluding to the fact that Tom Brady was then autographing footballs as a compensation for these two employees. So first of all, before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of that, let's recognize the pure convenience of the timing of this investigation. Like I said, again, pretty much this date, Wednesday, May 6th, was when the first reports of findings from this investigation have been released, just several days after the NFL draft. That is, wow, what convenient timing that is. I wonder if it's because they didn't want to have to deal with any speculation throughout the draft. They didn't want anything to take attention away from the draft, or perhaps they didn't want to have to penalize the Patriots during the draft itself. To me, this just smells way too fishy. It's way too convenient that it was just after the draft. And of course, when it comes to Roger Goodell, I think that man is nothing short of completely toxic to the organization of the NFL. I don't think he has an ethical bone in his body. I think that if he had any integrity whatsoever, he would have resigned a long time ago. And I think that the agency doesn't care, because the only thing that league cares about at this point, and it has been made abundantly clear, is dollar signs and nothing else. They are not concerned with the, quote, integrity of the game. That went out the window a long time ago. And me personally, for the first time in as long as I can remember, I'm not even looking forward to the NFL season. I don't even know how much I'll be paying attention. And this isn't one of those like, oh, the game's ruined. So this is just one of those, I just can't get into it anymore. I just can't, when you just go down the list of the different rules, the replacement refs, the conduct of some players off the field and stuff like that, it's just, I'm just over it. But getting back to this, so the convenience of the release of this information is all too fishy, all in itself. So that's one thing right there. So getting into the investigation itself, the two different employees are two employees named Jim McNally, who is the official's locker room attendant, and John Jastrominski, an equipment assistant for the Patriot. They were allegedly involved in a deliberate effort to release air. And there were some text messages between them that hinted at this. Now, some of the texts that they listed that implied that Brady had been working alongside them, giving them footballs as compensation. One of the texts says, "Remember to put a couple sweet pigskins ready for Tom to sign. Nice throw and some kicks and make it real special." Now, in fairness, one thing here, there still needs to be a little bit more released in regards to the content of these texts. Them just making a text implying that Tom Brady was signing footballs for them, that's not really enough to say that, yeah, there was definitely foul play going on. And I'm assuming that these are not the only texts the NFL is referring to. They're just the only ones that have been released so far, at least as of the recording of this segment. Because one of the things that the Patriots owner pointed out, and it was a fair thing to point out to try to be diplomatic here, just saying, oh, Tom Brady was allegedly signing footballs for the employees, that's not enough to then draw the automatic conclusion that Tom Brady was having them release air from the footballs and not playing by the rules in regards to how much the ball is inflated. That's not enough information to make that kind of a jump. So I do acknowledge that, but as of right now, those are the only text messages that have been released. So there's still a lot that we're waiting to come to the surface here, because the NFL, saying that these texts implied that, well, there's got to be more text out there then there's got to be more to this investigation, which makes the layman, believe either A, there's a lot more and they don't want to uncover it because it would deliberately place the Patriots and Tom Brady in the cheaters camp. Either there's like deliberate, obvious, plain as day evidence that they don't want to release, or B, maybe there's not a lot and maybe they're kind of stretching here. And maybe this is all just kind of a publicity hype because, the draft has already happened. Let's kind of release this thing to kind of, run the gamut in terms of that. Now, you have to ask yourself, what incentive does the NFL have to do that, considering the fact that when it comes to the publicity, the NFL is doing pretty okay, all right? They don't need brand awareness at this point. They're doing pretty fine. So this type of negative attention, if the Patriots did in fact cheat, if this did go unpunished and go uncaught, the NFL doesn't have a whole lot of incentive to have that hanging over their shoulders. So I don't think that second scenario is the case, but, I'm just saying for speculation's sake, those are the different things that could be going on here. The way I look at it, because of what I just described, the fact that the NFL does not have any incentive to bring this negative publicity on themselves, I think that there was a lot more going on in that investigation, and they uncovered some stuff that pretty much exposed without a doubt that, yes, Tom Brady cheated, that, yes, the Patriots organization did cheat. Whether Bill Belichick knew about it or not, that still remains a bit unclear. There's still speculations on that, but it seems like there was definitely some foul play going on here. It doesn't make any sense, given in regards to the texts that were released, why the NFL would make that detrimental of a statement. There's got to be more there, and the way I see it, the more there has to be pretty apparent. So right now, we're just playing the waiting game, seeing what else surfaces in regards to what texts were sent between these employees and, Tom Brady's involvement. That can be implied from their text correspondence. But it seems like there was most likely definitely foul play here. So interesting follow-up on Deflategate, and we'll kind of see what happens. Again, the NFL has, to me, been very disappointing for quite a while now. It's not, I just simply don't enjoy the game as much as I used to for a number of reasons, but we'll see what comes of this. We'll see if there's any consequences. This is Ron Placone signing out.